Hello everybody, Voodoo here, and in today's video I want to talk about a build that kind of isn't optimal, but we've been playing it for a while and I know lots of people probably miss it, and that is Cycle of Hatred. Now with the most recent nerfs that came in, I don't know, like last week to the kind of inertia style builds, Cycle of Hatred is actually really close to inertia on a pure single target basis now. Now that doesn't mean it's better. This raid doesn't really work well for what Cycle's trying to do, and I'll cover that after. But I figured I'd go ahead, do a little bit of a build guide, and show some sims for Cycle of Hatred, because if you do want to play it, if you hate the kind of inertia stuff, if you want to just play good old momentum Cycle of Hatred like we've used to, this definitely is able to do that on some fights. Obviously a little bit worse, but it's there. So of course, like the video, comment, subscribe, help me grow. We're reaching almost 9,000 now, which is crazy, and let's get into the video. So obviously the first thing we have to do is take a look at the talent build. Now this is the best simming single target talent build for the Cycle of Hatred based build. And you can see here a few things are different from the inertia stuff. We've dropped all the, well, I guess just these two. You don't take Rage Fire, but we've dropped the Immolation Aura talents, we've dropped Chaotic Disposition, and we've swapped out inertia for momentum and dropped a fire inside as well. Now, to make up for those, we pick up things like Inner Demon, Cycle of Hatred, and Shattered Destiny, which all work pretty well together, just giving you more momentum, more meta uptime, more I-beams. This works with more I-beams. So the whole idea here is a more consistent damage option. So inertia is very bursty, which is really good. This is a lot more consistent because of things like momentum, where it's just a flat 6% the whole time. You have, I think, 95% uptime of this in sims right now. That's really high, versus, you know, like the 18% for 5 seconds, where you have like 40% uptime, but it's more bursty, yada yada. So more consistent. And then this kind of package here also leads into that more consistency kind of idea, where Shattered Destiny, Cycle of Hatred, and Inner Demon really reward being on a boss, and they have a really flat profile, which isn't necessarily always a bad thing. Obviously burst is really good, but that nice flat profile can be good as well. So again, this build does require you to basically have constant uptime on a target, and falls off a little bit in cleave. We'll do sims after and I'll talk about that, but this build is there if you want to play it. It's pretty good on some fights. I do think Igara and Volcaros, you can play this. Igara because you might line up with spears pretty good, Volcaros because it's just a single target boss, so like whatever. But I will say this is worse than the other one. It's like no mover. On single target, it's roughly, I think roughly the same. It's like 0.1% behind. On cleave, it's more than that. But again, the fight styles in this raid just don't line up with it. But we'll do a short little kind of rotational primer, and then we'll go into why you should or should not play this build. So we'll move on to a little rotational primer, and if you want to see what I'm doing, you can check out my little breakdown over here, which shows you what GCDs I've pushed, starting from the top and moving down. So we'll start off pre-pull with our Immolation Aura and then Sigil of Flame. Then we'll Fel Rush in, pop a Fellblade, go right into I-Beam, Annihilation, the Hunt, Backflip, Essence Break, Death Sweep, Meta, Death Sweep, another Annihilation, then use I-Beam again, then another Annihilation. And from here, we're moving into the normal rotation, where we're just pushing Death Sweep on cooldown, using all of our Fury Generators on cooldown, and kind of just keeping momentum up whenever possible. You'll find yourself having a lot of empty gaps in your rotation where you just want to Fel Rush. Because of that, as well as just making sure you have it for every one of your Death Sweeps and I-Beams and stuff, you'll have a very high uptime on momentum here. See, I'm pretty much keeping it up. I dropped at the start because I was talking, but whatever. So the whole idea here is very similar to older styles of Demon Hunter, where we're just kind of pushing all of our buttons as they come up. The only thing you want to sync up is going to be your Essence Break. I probably should have saved that there because I ended up leaving demonic form, but you always want to be in demon form whenever you use Essence Break. It got a little desynced because I used Death Sweep instead of holding it, but that's neither here nor there. So we're just staying in demon form as much as we can, using Death Sweep as close to cooldown as possible, and then otherwise just pushing buttons, keeping momentum up. It's a pretty simplistic rotation. It is going to be a little bit worse than other options, but again, pretty comfy. You can see I'm barely ever Fel Rushing, literally just keeping it up for my I-Beams and stuff. We're gonna hold I-Beam here for Essence Break, and otherwise nothing else too extra. We'll do one more Essence Break combo just to show you guys. So we'll Fel Rush into it, I-Beam, Backflip, Essence Break, Death Sweep, and then use our Annihilations. And that's kind of the Essence Break combo. So the rotation is very simple, very easy. None of the fancy setting up your burst windows with inertia. It's all just consistent damage profiles. That begs the question, when would you actually use a build like this? So I have a bunch of sims here, and I do think the APL for cycle is not perfect right now. It definitely has some weird things going on with it, and the gear is not optimized. Keep that with a grain of salt. But this is my current character, and for me, currently, it's pretty far behind. I'll show you in percentage here as well. It's roughly 2% behind because my gear is just not well situated for the cycle build. It likes more haste. It does better with proc trinkets. This here doesn't have proc trinkets. I don't have boots. I have 2 BSL right now. So definitely not leaning towards cycle in this sim. But if we take a look at kind of the BIS gear for Havoc, it's very close. It's 0.1% behind. And I think if you could change things around here a little bit, maybe gear more towards haste, you probably could get cycle to go ahead. But that means that in single target, they're basically the same. Now, the thing with that is if we look at the full HTML report here, we look at just kind of how the different sims work out. See here into this profile. This is the inertia profile, and you can see how it has these peaks and valleys around whenever you burst, which is very, very good. You know, death sweep, chaotic disposition, all that stuff gives you a lot of peaks and valleys. You go down to the other one, which actually might not even be on this sim here. I actually don't see it. If you go down to the other one, I can pop it up here. Give me 1 second. Check out the other one. This is a quick sim. So here, it's a lot more consistent, right? You're in meta, you leave meta, you're in meta, you leave meta, you're in meta, right? So it's a very flat line compared to the other sim, which is a lot more of a kind of peaks and valleys type sim, right? Again, looking here, see much bigger burst, big hump, lower hump, big hump, lower hump, big hump, lower hump. And that makes sense because again, we have, you know, cycle of hatred. We have inertia with this build, which is much more burst damage with fire inside and essence break versus the other one with cycle, where it's very consistent here. So on a single target, I do think that inertia is better, just in most cases, but it's very close. So if you want to play cycle on something like Volcaros, you can go ahead and do that very, very easily. But I do think the real curious thing comes in when we look at more targets. So this is 5 minutes, 2 bosses as like cleave. Not a great sim. We can see that cycle is roughly 1% behind in BIS gear. But if we add more targets, we're going to see cycle starts to pull ahead. So this is a 5 minute 5 boss target, which isn't realistic at all. This is a very weird sim, right? But it's like consistent AoE, cycle pulls ahead. Look here. 40 seconds, 5 boss targets, cycle behind again, 6%. I did a sim that was 10 targets, if I could find it somewhere here. Here we go, this one. See here, cycle is ahead in a 5 minute 10 boss target. It is roughly 2% ahead. And that's just because of momentum. That's because of the constant uptime you have. The thing here is you don't really have that constant uptime. So I do think that it might sim a little bit better than it actually ends up being, but again, it's really, really close on a single target with optimized gear. Very, this is actually 2 targets. Where's my single target? Where is it at? It's like here. Very close on a single target. Like within margin of error. So if you want to do this, you certainly can. Now, again, in raid, I don't think it's a good raid for it. Like I said, Igara, Volcaros, probably the only 2 bosses that are actually worth it. The rest of them, either too much cleave or too much downtime to ever have cycle be worth it. If cycle helps push I-beam into better timings, then it might be better, but I don't think it's going to end up doing that. So this is more of a play it if you want, probably not better, but it's close enough that if you really like cycle, you hate the inertia stuff, you still like momentum, you still like moving around a bit and don't want to play no mover, then you can play this. This is here, it's an option, so I'm just making sure people are aware of it. So that is going to be it for the video today. Just want to do a quick little kind of coverage of Cycle of Hatred, because it hasn't really been covered too much. Cycle SD builds. Most people, myself included, are pretty happy we don't play this anymore. I like that we switched it up, but if you're a person who really, really likes that kind of play style and you do like using your movement, like, you know, you don't want to play no mover, this is here. I want to just go out and put this out there so people are aware of it. And, you know, just if you want to play this, go ahead and do it. I've covered the pros and cons, and now it's in your hands. So that is going to be it for the video today. Make sure you like the video, comment, and subscribe. Help push the channel up. Join me on Twitch. Follow me there. I stream 2 to 4 days a week. Follow me, join my Discord, and if you want to support me, consider becoming a channel member. Link below. So again, thank you all so much. See you guys next time. Peace. Big thank you to all of my channel members. Thank you, Fidi Gregory, Andrew Kino, Guillermo Lamas, Joshua O'Connell, Latand, Period, Brad Wisniak, Zooligan, It's Bulk, Magic Man 133, and Howley. Thank you all so much. Your support helps me make the content every week and keeps me going on this channel. Thank you all so much. If you want to support me, follow the link in the description to become a channel member. And again, thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.